Hi, this is the video for task 3, which is prepare tools, resources and equipment. To complete this task, I selected, checked and prepared all tools, resources and equipment used when gathering information for my soil, landform and rock surveys. So some of the tools, resources and equipment I used were a digital device, which was my smartphone, which I'm using to film this, and I used my GPS. I used the instructions provided for each test, the Munsell soil and rock colour charts, the rock dichotomous key, the soil texture guides, and offline access to all of those. The tools I used were the pH meter with prongs, my hand lens, my hammer and chisel, which was a flathead screwdriver. I used this gently in place of a chisel because I knew that I was testing sandstone. I've got my hand trowel. I've got my metal ruler. That's for measuring the soil profile depth and structure. I have my notebook. 1 minute. I have my notebook, pencil, and I have some plastic collection bags to take soil home in order to do the texture tests. And some of the resources I needed were distilled water. That's to calibrate the pH meter, and also a spray bottle with 30% metho and 70% water to disinfect the tools and my PPE. So my PPE worn were steel cap boots, long sleeve shirt. This is the one I wear to work and it's fairly new. Long pants. Nitrile gardening gloves. My sunglasses for eye protection and sun protection, insect repellent and sunscreen, and also a raincoat and a hat. So all of my PPE was checked before use. The gloves were brand new. They were inspected for holes before use. The hammerhead was securely fixed. The flathead screwdriver was checked for cracks and a safe grip. There's no cracks. The hand lead was cleaned with the spray and some wipes, and just made sure it didn't have any scratches on it. The metal ruler was checked to make sure it wasn't bent, and also just the rulers were safe. The ruler edges were safe. The trowel was checked for bending, rust and damage, and that was also disinfected with spray and wiped down. The collection bags, made sure that I used new fresh ones each time. They didn't have any tears in them, and that they were sealed properly before I took the samples away. And I decided to use a pencil instead of a pen, and my notebook, and that was just in case there was any rain and the pen wouldn't run. So they were both checked. Luckily the pencil works in the rain and it won't run. So the pH meter was calibrated using distilled water. Distilled water has a pH of 7, it's neutral, and so that was tested ahead of time, put into the distilled water to make sure that it read at a 7, and it does. And the prongs were cleaned with the spray and wiped down before and after use to avoid cross-contamination. My phone was fully charged before I went into the field. I had all of my offline resources saved in case I couldn't get reception, and I had my location tracking and safety contacts enabled in case anything happened or if I got lost. So all of my tools were cleaned before and after field use with the methylated spirits and water solution to prevent contamination between test sites and between sampling different horizons of soil. My phone was prepared with downloaded maps and guides and procedures. My soil collection bags were labelled with site codes and sample types. My PPE and tools were stored securely in my backpack and were convenient for safe access during the field work, so I also had my tool belt in order to store them. So while performing the task, I followed the TAFE instructions, which I read beforehand, environmental protocols, which I organised and got information about through Inner West Council and Woollahra Council, depending on each site, and standard safe work practices. I handled all of my tools with care, especially during the rock testing and soil sampling. I responded to field conditions, so sun, insects, wet weather, and I used the appropriate PPE, including my raincoat. I used caution and awareness around uneven terrain and sharp tools. I calibrated and cleaned my tools as needed. I sought clarification from guides or supervisors when unsure, and I ensured everything was packed up, cleaned with methylated spirit solution, and stored properly at the end of the task. Thank you.